Greetings, this is Nishanth here, welcoming you to a new section under my study for income tax. In this section we'll be learning about clubbing of income, and by clubbing what it means is inclusion of the income of another person in the hands of the assessee. Alright, so before going to the detailed study, let me give you a brief introduction to this topic. And as I said, clubbing means the inclusion of income of other persons in assessee's total income. So an income which falls on the hands of another party, an income which is received by another party, say party B, is included in the hands of party A. By included, what I mean is included while computing total income. So an income which party B receives is included while computing the total income liable for tax for party A. Yeah. So this step falls right after we finish off all the 5 heads. So if you take the structure, the order in which sections are arranged, you will understand the sections for clubbing, that is section 60 to 65, falls right after income from other sources. You'll get a better idea once you check the next slide. So yes, here I have given you a basic proforma of computation of total income, but then please keep in mind this is not necessarily the format that you should follow while you answer questions in your examinations. I'll tell you why. So herein I have arranged all the heads, all the items section wise in numerical order. Alright, you can see 15 to 17 salary, then we go 22 to 27 house property, so it's in ascending order. Finally 56 to 59 income from other sources. Clubbing sections are from 60 to 65, post which there is set off and carry forward, which is from 70 to 80, and finally 80C to 80U, which is chapter 6A deductions, which is the final step while computing the taxable income of an assessee. So even though this is how all the sections are structured when you arrange the sections in numerical order, this is not how it works in actual scenarios. For instance, say there is party A and party B. Particular income which falls in the hands of party B is to be taxed in the hands of party A. I'll give you an example. Party A has an asset which is a house property, and he is the owner who receives rental income for such asset. Right. Party A decides to transfer this house property to party B. Now party B is the owner of the asset, owner of the house property, and party B is the one who receives the rental income for that house property. Got it? So the rental income currently falls as received in hands of party B. But what clubbing provisions tell you is, take that rental income which falls in party B's hands and tax it with party A's total income. But then that clubbing shouldn't be falling after aggregation. It shouldn't be falling after aggregation as a clubbing provision. This house property income should be included while computing income from section 22 to 27 house property here itself, wherein you will show as a separate line item clubbing of house property income from party B. Got it? Even though the sections are arranged so, while computing whatever income is being clubbed, that income is to be included with the respective head while aggregating the income. Same applies for set off and carry forward as well. Whatever set off and carry forward is applicable to the assessee should be done while aggregating, along with aggregation itself. Got it? But chapter 6A deductions falls after that. Fine? Clear? Right. Now I'm presuming you got an idea of all the sections that come in as in the structure of how clubbing provisions work. Now before we head on to all the sections of our study, let me give you a brief layman's explanation of what clubbing is. I just gave you an explanation wherein I dealt with the example of a house property. I'll give you one another in this slide. So what is an easy way for an assessee to earn income? So in the previous example I told you, we had an asset, house property, right? So it was the asset, which is house property, which earned assessee the income, right? So in the example, the assessee decided to transfer the house property to another party, right? So assessee acted as a transferor and decided to transfer the asset. So in reality, transfer can fall in two ways. Either the assessee can transfer the income alone, or the assessee can transfer the asset and the income. Fine. So in the previous example that I mentioned, assessee gave the house as it is to party B. But then assessee can make an arrangement with the tenant saying the rental income you pay, but not to me but to party B, wherein the assessee is only transferring the income, right? This transfer happens for no consideration or inadequate consideration. Now this is not something that would generally happen, right? No party would transfer an asset or an income which he or she owns to another party without consideration, right? Because for every transfer there should be legal, viable, economical consideration, right? But then this transfer takes place with no consideration. Now why would a person do this? What do you think might be the reason an assessee would do this? Pretty simple: to reduce his total income, to reduce his tax liability, to bring him down while computing, to bring his income down while computing his total taxable income, and eventually reduce his tax liability. So this is a sort of way by which assessees evade income tax, reduce their total income to reduce their income tax liability. So they are using loopholes within the legal provisions to reduce their income tax, right? So income tax authorities started to notice this and decided to do something. So in this case, when the asset or the income is transferred, the receipt of income is in transferee's hand, right? What Income Tax Act did was they took notice of such transactions and created a set of transactions wherein if such transfer takes place without consideration or with inadequate consideration, the income which falls in the hands of the assessee is to be transferred back to assessee's hands, and that income will be included while computing the total income of such assessee. By that what I mean is that income will be taxed in the hands of the assessee who is the transferor. So understood the topic? Understood what happened there? So this is how generally clubbing works. So what did we club? We clubbed the income which fell on the hands of the transferee back or with the assessee's total income. So what's clubbed here is the receipt or the income received by the transferee. Now as I said, this is how generally clubbing works. But then there are other scenarios as well wherein clubbing works quite differently. Now, by other scenarios what I mean is there will be no transfer of asset or transfer of income or no such transfer taking place. But there will be clubbing happening based on what? Purely on relationship between the two parties. One very good common example that I can give you is two parties. One party's parent and the other party's minor child. The minor child receives an income and that income is not to be taxed in the hands of minor child but on the hands of party A. Okay. So this is a second scenario wherein assessee's income is clubbed with another party's income. Another party's income is clubbed with assessee's income based on relationship. Got it? Understood? Now that's it about a brief introduction to this whole chapter. I hope you understood the concept of clubbing pretty well. Now let's head to the sections 60 to 65, break them down and see what each of those sections tells us. So let's head to that portion.